Kia ora koutou, ko Mark Williams taku ringoa. I'm the Director of Circuit Artists Moving Image. We're an arts organisation based in Te Whanganui Tara. But we have a national and international reach. What we do is basically we distribute artist films. We do that through our website. We do it through partnerships with film festivals and also art galleries as well. Today, Circuit holds about 1,000 artist videos in its collection. You can watch them all for free on our website, which is circuit.org.nz. And on that website, which I'll show you in a second, you'll also find things like writing and podcasts, and also lots of opportunities for artists. So let's, in fact, just have a quick look at that Circuit Artist website. As I say, we don't have our own building, so this is kind of our virtual home, if you like. And so this is a very important space. So this is the front page of the Circuit website. It was started 12 years ago by myself after working for the New Zealand Film Archive for 10 years. And then I went and worked for an organisation in London called Lux, who distributed artist video. They're the largest distributor of artist video in Europe. And they said, until we met you, we had no idea this kind of work existed in New Zealand. So I, of course, was very aware, having worked at the archive and having worked there primarily as a curator of contemporary works, that there was a huge amount of artist moving image production in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and we needed to make it visible. And so the internet became the way to do it. So what's on this website? Okay, down here you've got all your basic navigation. We have about 200 artists online, so you can click on that page and you'll see all of the artists. 1,000 streaming videos, which are all searchable also by keyword and by theme, by year. Writing and podcast. So we generally publish about 20 items per annum. Our podcasts are very good if you're a young artist, or any artist really, who's always looking to learn about how other artists make work. We speak to artists about how they take an idea from concept to reality. And in the writing, we often do reviews of contemporary shows. Projects is all our Circuit projects, and we'll talk more about them in a little while. Again, another important little piece here for artists, news and opportunities. So we've just put out some calls recently for new commissions, and I'll talk more about that soon. And then there's the About page here, which tells you all about what we do. So let me just scroll down the page to give you an idea of how this page can work for you. As I say, 1,000 streaming videos. At the moment, the feature video is this work by Peter Waring, which is about people who collect metal, scrap metal in Barcelona, and trade it in for cash. Down here we have recently added work, so another work by Peter Waring there, and if you hover over it with your mouse, you'll see a little bit of information about it here and the categories it speaks to. This is Laala Falesuga, Grant Priest, Theo MacDonald. And then you can click through to all the works on Circuit. The most recent podcast, we talked to Selina Ishadi, an Iranian New Zealand artist, about her filmmaking. We've got an exhibition review of a show in Otatahi by Emma Fitz with the London-based photographer, filmmaker Rosalind Nashashibi. More podcasts. Down there, the news and opportunities, call for proposals, homing instinct. So this is a project I'm going to talk a little bit about later. So I'll click very briefly through some of these major tabs, so just so you can see what it looks like. The artist page is searchable alphabetically. You can scroll down like that, or if you want to just click on a letter up here, you can choose where you want to go if you have somebody in mind. What happens if you click on an artist? Well, let's see. Click on Arapeta, you get a biography, and you get some works you can stream. Going back to the navigation, streaming videos, here are some of our themes. They're very broad themes, but if you're looking for something more specific, you can just simply do a search in the keyword. The artists are all there like that. The decades, you'll see we go back about 50 years on this website. Writing and podcasts are all down here, and you can sort them through here. We also have bigger publications if you're feeling like a bit of evening reading, perhaps, such as these publications which have come out of various artist projects and symposia and things like that. And over here we have current projects. Okay, so I'm just going to put this away for the moment and just show you a bit of a slideshow about Circuit. Okay, so as I say, our website streams 1,000 videos, which are all there for research and study. Much like you would pick up an art history textbook and see an image of the Mona Lisa. They're reproductions on our site, they're compressed, so you get that reference image which clues you to the work. And wherever you are based in Aotearoa or the world, you can see these works. But we also like to put works in physical space. This is a image of a work by Martin Sagadin called Garden of Clay. It's part of a program called Legacies, which we showed recently at the Adam Art Gallery in Wellington. So we don't, as I say, have any building of our own circuit. I'm talking to you from an extremely grotty warehouse. But we partner with institutions that need programming, and we give them the programming and they give us a fee, which we distribute to the artists. We don't just work with single channel kind of work, we also work with a more kind of sculptural approach to the moving image. This is a project called Otherwise Image Worlds. This showed at Te Uru Waitakere in 2022, curated by Tendai Mutambu, had 5 artist works, all new commissions. And the show asked, how are artists today utilising animation in the service of new physical, social and political futures? How are artists counteracting racial and gender biases encoded in emergent digital technologies? What is the relationship between animation and the physical body? What is the role of animated technologies in mapping and memory? So I guess we're talking about alternative reality gardening. Here we were talking about new physical, social, political futures. And again, encountering those biases encoded in emergent technologies, which is something that I think is extremely interesting. So moving right along, we're now going to move to Thailand. So Circuit has a big international reach, not only with its website, but we also try and forge partnerships with institutions abroad and bring work there. This is a gallery in Bangkok that I was at about 6 weeks ago, and we were showing the project Legacies, which also showed in that slide at the Adam Art Gallery. We had a series of screenings around it and a lot of conversation with local people. So this was a really interesting time to visit Bangkok because Thailand's just had its general elections. And for the second election in a row, the party that won the popular vote was denied from taking office, if you like. So we're moving into a political situation that's very difficult, a military dictatorship, a royal dictatorship, and we were bringing in these works and also this kind of kaupapa of talking about works. And it turned out, although these people are quite animated, what they would say to us repeatedly was, we don't get the chance to actually talk about art at all. And it's partly because of the way people are raised there. You can't criticize the royal family, for example, or you'd be thrown in jail. It's unwise to criticize the military as well. So a culture of open criticality is very difficult. So we provided a kind of safe space, if you like. We also took some artists over with us, and also our curator for this project. So the curator on the left is Dr. May Idadolinga-Wanage. She's a Thai-born, UK-based academic who was the curator of the program. Every year we have a curator at large, international curator at large. I'll talk about May in a moment. But in the middle, Patti Terrell, who was in the program, Legacies, and the right, Tanu Nano from FAF Swag. Patti and Tanu are both in FAF Swag, the Queer Polynesian Collective, and we showed a screening of their works, and they spoke to it as well. So in that highly charged political context, Patti and Tanu were, of course, talking about the visibility for queer Pacifica people, and certain kind of political and social realities that they have to work against as well. So there was a kind of shared connection, if you like, with the local audience. So, and the wonderful thing about FAF Swag is that I think that they've really established their own context for working by initially setting up things like ballroom events where people would come and dance and I guess celebrate what it means to be a queer Pacifica person in a supportive environment. So yeah, creating their own reality. We also did a screening of some other works from the Circuit collection, and you can see myself there and May, the curator of the Legacies program, in conversation. So this is May. So every year for the past 7 years, we've hired an international curator at large, and the idea is we bring them to New Zealand for studio visits. They meet artists, they learn about how art is made in New Zealand, and then they go back to where they live, they come up with an idea, a prompt for 5 artists to respond to, and they select those 5 artists. So I work quite closely with them. So May's question was about the idea of legacies. What are the things we inherit, whether willingly or not? There could be some kind of ghost, maybe a burden, maybe a thing that we cherish. There could be a mixture of all kinds of things. And the great thing about employing an international curator at large is that it opens up opportunities like working in Thailand, whereby we can send the works through their networks and expand the reach of New Zealand artists' work internationally. And one of the other ways we do this is we have one of the 5 artists be an international artist. So in this case, we had the artist Ukrit Sunwan Hai, a Thai artist who lives in Bangkok. He was in the program, so he was there as well. So there's a kind of pull for local audiences in these faraway places to come and see the New Zealand work, and we're promoting this kind of cross-cultural exchange. Okay, what else do we do? We do this public art project in Wellington called Mason Screen. So as you'll see, this is just a very simple screen, but it's situated in a very dynamic public place in between Lambton Quay, which is the shopping district, the Terrace, which is the business and government district, and also transport. So every year we schedule about 10 works. They play for roughly 4 to 6 weeks each, and people walk up and down this stairwell each day back and forth. So they probably see an artwork more than most people see it in a gallery. And we've shown over 60 artworks, I think, since 2016 on this screen. This is a publication we put out recently in response to that exhibition about animation that I spoke to you about later on, the one that talked about new physical, social and political futures that could be realized through animation. And we've pretty much distributed these through educational institutions, and I could definitely send a few up to the folks at Afi World to distribute locally. There's interviews with artists in there, conversations with other people, lots of pictures. So, in a nutshell, where else do we go? Well, at top left, you'll see City Gallery, where we curated a program with Shannon Te Ao recently of contemporary Maori artists working in single-channel video. Top centre, Wairoa Maori Film Festival, Aotearoa's longest running Indigenous film festival. We showed some works there last year. We are scheduled to do that this year, but the effects of the cyclone mean East Coast roads have been pretty much destroyed, so the festival's been postponed. Top right, the Remai Modern in Saskatoon, where we showed that program of contemporary Maori single-channel video. Bottom right, the Christchurch Arts Centre in the Great Hall. We showed a bunch of a kind of compilation from Mason Screen. Bottom centre, this is the Pyramid Club in Wellington, which is an artist-run space, mostly dedicated to music, but we do screenings in there as well. And bottom left, this is the Oberhausen Short Film Festival in Germany, where we've been every year for pretty much the past 10 years. We're one of 10 international distributors of artist film and video who come and show a showcase program every year. So we're active in Aotearoa, in the main centres, also in the regions. We're in the big institutions, we're in the little artist-run spaces as well. So I'm just going to exit this screen now. So I've done a lot of talking about what Circuit does. I thought now I would just introduce you to some works that from the Circuit collection that address the theme of today's korero. Okay, so first off, we're going to watch this work by Lane Wairea. I'm just going to talk over the top of it. We're going to play it for maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Actually, I'll just do a little introduction and let it play for 30 seconds. So this work was a commission for Mason Screen, and Lane proposed that at the time there was a large conversation about historic monuments in Aotearoa and internationally, of course, as well. And there was a lot of pulling down of these old figures who were revered and so forth. So Lane's practice is about these sort of gentle interventions in the everyday that kind of question what gets placed in the everyday and who has the power to do it. Here we go. So there we go, that's Lane's work. And you'll see on her page, she's got a whole bunch of other works which are all about these interventions into the everyday, catching rain, chasing fog, selling clouds. She's also a lawyer, so she's got a very highly schooled take on who owns what. Returning to the garden, this is Laura Duffy, and this work is called I Am Without Shame, I Am Ashamed, brackets, Garden of Purity. So Laura is an artist who examines, I guess, aesthetics of beauty and repulsion. She's very interested in queer theory as well. And she works primarily, I guess, with organic natural materials, which she allows to decay, morph, and change into altered states that fluctuate between this idea of what we might consider beautiful or repulsive. Um, and as the title suggests, there is also kind of sometimes a little hint of a kind of a latent religious influence on the work. Oops, might add a little freeze. I know, we're back. Okay, so it's Laura's work. It's amazing, really. Moving right along. This is Christopher Ulitupu. So Christopher is a Niuean New Zealander who I guess pushes together these kind of his practice initially started by looking at postcards of New Zealand, which of course typically only featured white people. And his idea, I guess, was to bring Pacifica queer identity into the space, and also to make that a kind of contemporary Pacifica identity as well. It's not just a kind of romantic image. But let's have a look. So you can see in this image, it's sort of an image of paradise, but it's also kind of rocky and horrible. There's a raggedy little stream, a grey overcast day, it's windy, it's not that good, and the male character on the right appears to be deeply uninterested in some sort of heteronormative fulfillment of what might be intimated by the woman reclining on the. And I think also the sense of duration also teases out the kind of absurdity of the whole thing as well. Very, again, very like Lane, very clever, very subtle work. Okay, might jump to, okay, let's have a look. Actually, just we'll look at this one here. Kim Peters' philosophy. Okay, now this is a work shot in the Dunedin Botanic Gardens. I'm just going to read you before I play the work because it has a nice soundtrack. I'll read you just what Kim Peters said about it. The emphasis in this work, as is usual in much of my practice, is about the humming of relation between things in the world. To place two autonomous yet tonally connected genres beside each other, here moving image and audio, produces a space that holds an unpredictable potentiality. There is a starting state which is simple but soon becomes complex within the observation of the attentive viewer. This space tends to initiate a generative state of being rather than the falling into an act of recognition. It allows for the palpable experience of murmur which weaves possibility back into the viewer's world. Sometimes this can be called sensate thinking for oneself. So I guess a bit of a prompt for one's own alternative reality gardening. Okay, I'm just going to stop that one there. In fact, I think I'll just do one more today. This is by Kate Woods. It's called Water Feature. It's a play on a famous artwork by Namjoon Paik, the Korean artist, called TV Garden, where the artist placed televisions in the midst of actual live gardens in the gallery. I guess a comment on the relationship between technology and nature. And here, Kate has placed the TVs in New Zealand gardens. And I guess looping back to Chris Ulatupu, taking these classic kind of postcards. Here we go. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope that the circuit is useful for you as a resource. We're always interested in submissions of new artist work for the website. Please follow us on social media, subscribe for our newsletter. Just click on the top right hand button on the website on the homepage and you'll find a link to that. And yeah, any questions, please get in touch.